Good afternoon. 3-year national mandatory service. It's a big question. Should we do it or should we not do it? In 1961, John F. Kennedy said, "My fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country." Are you willing to give part of your time and your money and your freedoms for the democracy of the United States? 2 to 3 years service. What will you give? Time, money, or freedom? Now, some of those things that require mandatory service, you think, well, it doesn't give me anything in return. Some of those are pride in an achieved goal, commitment to an ideal, new friends and acquaintances, and it produces maturity in young adults. Now, some people say, well, what will I get back for having service in our country? I'm telling you that today, for the Army, you get mandatory educational benefits. I get 10% almost everything I go and buy, including Starbucks, Lowe's, Home Depot, all these places. Imagine what you could get if you served under the mandatory national service. You get mortgage credits for when you want to buy a home after you leave college. You get free national park service, thousands of national park services around the United States you get into free with your families. You end up having 3, 4 children. You take your grandparents and your parents. And you also get partial tax breaks at the end of the conclusion of service. Now, places of service. People are like, oh, I don't want to serve in the Army. Understandable. Not everybody wants to go to combat or be in peacekeeping force. But you can be in the National Guard or the Reserve. These kinds of places do produce maturity in a young adult. You could join the National Park Service. You could go for Doctors Without Borders. Imagine if you're a person and you want to join the Doctors Without Borders to help your medical career, because you know that's what you want to join in college. So you come to college already with 2 to 3 years experience, job skills, management skills, all from having served on a boat, on a ship, in a place like Haiti, or Africa, or in Brazil, dealing with leprosy. You could also join the 911 call service in your local town, because you don't want to leave home. Very understandable. Or you could join the Peace Corps. All these are avenues for people to join and have national mandatory service that builds you as a young person into an adult. Now, we're afraid of loss of freedoms. Well, what about my time, Frank? What about the people who are maybe getting ahead of me in college? Maybe they're going to get out of it. This would be for everybody. And if you have health problems, there would be other initiatives made where they could join other places for people with disabilities. Now, some of those freedoms are loss of freedom, but are we waiting for wanting loss of freedom, or afraid of loss of freedom, or are we afraid to give? Are we afraid of loss of freedom, or are we afraid of not getting our money's worth? Are we afraid of loss of freedom, or are we afraid of being left behind other college students who we see ahead of us? And are we afraid of loss of freedom because we don't want to be held accountable when we're 18 for our own actions already? Do we want to be considered an adult already? Now, some of these life choices that we have lead from high school to jobs, onto debt, and then onto jobs that try to cover that debt. Student loans today, people will spend the first 5, 10 years of their lives trying to pay off their student loans. Some of those ways they can get around that is by having scholarships. But a great way to get around it is to go from high school into a 2 to 3 year mandatory service, and you get those benefits from the government that pay for college. So as soon as you leave college, you can look for a job and you can start using that job to pay for your family's goods, to get cars, and to buy homes. Now, some of the people who served first are people like Chuck Norris, Ice-T, Bob Vila, Elvis Presley. Some of these individuals already had careers before they joined. They wanted to be part of their service. One of the reasons why I joined was I was an immigrant to this country. And I felt it was my duty to give back to the United States. And of course that enveloped into me spending my entire career in the military, but that's not for everybody. But I owed America for the freedoms it was offering me. And some of those freedoms are hard fought for. Religion, voting, equality. These aren't found in China. These aren't found in North Korea and other places that have mandatory service. Because with that mandatory service comes the fact that they need to have freedoms as well. They just go and do their service, and as soon as they're done, they're kicked out. They don't get offers like America offers its young people. Today, 3.5 million students will graduate from high school. 60% of those will attend college. 20% of those will leave college because they don't like college. They need to get a job because they already have a young family. So it leaves almost 1.5 million people looking for jobs. How are we going to ease this problem? If those individuals were able to go into a national mandatory service, they would gain the job experience and management skills and also make pay for their families so that they could then move on to even better jobs after their service was done. Now, in conclusion, this simple solution could avail the governmental institutions with their ready-made workforce of young minds and strong muscles to take care of national parks and the military. It promotes growth throughout the United States. This in turn will produce young adults who over a 2 to 3 year period will learn management skills, vital job skills, as well as earning both pay and benefits to be used later. This will also enable youth to mix and work with other sections of the populace outside of their own upbringing and promote gender and religious cohesion. One of the greatest people that we know as Americans is George Washington. George Washington said, "Happiness and moral duty are inseparably connected." Think about service today.